I am the President of the Republic of Ghana. I was born 1 year after my country gained independence from colonial domination in 1957. I was born in the same year as Michael Jackson, whose untimely tragic death shocked the whole world. Michael was also known as the King of Pop and was one of the greatest entertainers that ever lived. The words of his 1991 hit song, "Heal the World," continues to echo to us from his grave. Michael Jackson sang, and I quote, "Heal the world, make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race." His song was released in 1991 and came at a time of excitement for the whole world. In the 58 years of my life, I have seen the world change more rapidly than in the millions of years of its existence. My life has spanned the excitement of the post-war era, the heady days of our liberation from colonial rule in Africa, the Apollo moon landing, the Cold War, the excitement at the fall of the Berlin Wall, the era of globalization, the end of apartheid, the global progress of the MDGs, the Arab Spring, Brexit, China's slowdown, SDGs, ISIS, cyber attacks, and it goes on and on and on and on. Mr. President, our world today is more complicated than it has ever been. And the question I ask is, what happened to the ideals that gave birth to this organization, the United Nations? What happened to that enthusiasm that captured the spirit of the post-war world, that envisioned peace, safety, and security for all of mankind? What happened to the excitement at the thawing of the Cold War? And what happened to our joy at the collapse of apartheid? The era of the Cold War created a paradoxical safety and security. The bipolar world and the arms race assured mutual destruction from any nuclear war. And therefore, the world was a more predictable place. Those of us in developing countries hid behind our shield of the non-aligned movement. We marched against nuclear armaments and envisioned the day the nuclear arms race would end so that the trillions of dollars that were being spent by the superpowers on nuclear weapons will yield a dividend that will create a life of prosperity for all people on earth. President Reagan stood before the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin in 1987 and said, "Mr. Gorbachev," I quote, "Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Quotations closed. In President Reagan's words, walls cannot withstand faith, walls cannot withstand truth, and walls cannot withstand freedom. The fall of the Berlin Wall envisioned a new world, the era of globalization, an age where trade and interaction amongst people of the world would spread prosperity across the globe. It did somewhat. The rise of the Asian tigers, the emerging world, China, Brazil, South Africa, India, the turn of the millennium and the MDGs raised millions of people out of poverty. A young man in West Africa drops out of school and takes to selling petty items along the streets of the city. Agreeing with 4 of his friends, they decide to raise money and try to make it to the greener pastures of Europe. They paid their way through Niger and arrive at Agadez, from where they brave the trek of death. This is a dangerous hike across the harshest desert on earth, the Sahara. They are attacked by bandits along the way and robbed of all their money and provisions. They are rescued by some good Samaritan. 2 members of their group do not make it through the desert crossing. After months of living under the threat of death from many of the armed groups, including ISIS in Libya, they finally board an overloaded dinghy bound for Italy. Rescued from the sea after their dinghy capsized, only one of them remained, held in a refugee center in Italy. He is the lucky one, the only one of 5 friends to survive this perilous journey. How long he will remain in the detention center, he does not know. And this could be the story of any young African seeking a better life in Europe. Mr. President, all over the world, there are new walls coming up, walls that imprison us against the rest of the world. The young African refugee in an Italian detention center is facing one such new wall now. In many parts of the world, extremist forces have hijacked the dialogue, and in the millennial generation, all available cutting-edge technology is being used to spread anxieties that evoke fear and arouse our basest emotions. Hate speech is becoming common. People complain of being tired of being politically correct. In many places, xenophobia has taken over rational thinking. In the vote on Brexit, the specter of a flood of Syrian refugees was used as the instrument for propelling an exit from the European Union. It is a paradox of our world that nearly 30 years after President Reagan called for the Berlin Wall to be torn down, new walls are springing up everywhere. And yet we have the resources in this world to guarantee each person a decent life. In the implementation of the MDGs, despite the minimal resources that were injected by the wealthy nations, we managed by prioritizing our spending to put more children in school than ever before in our history. We managed to pull more than 40% of the world's people out of extreme poverty. In Valletta, the European Union put 1.8 billion euros into an emergency fund to cooperate with Africa in curbing unregulated migration. And yet, with a significant share of the world's arable lands, a youthful labor force, a significant share of the world's natural resources, a reordering of economic relations could create boundless opportunities that will keep young Africans at home and not risk their lives across these perilous journeys. Removing subsidies to farmers of the advanced world will create an even playing field for African farmers to compete. Removing revenue and non-revenue